So they've played 6 games, won 3, only 1 defeat so far this season. After the first 6, how do you assess this United team?
Well, they got some work to do, and I think even Ole would appreciate that. I think the 2 games they've, the ones they've won in the Premier League, the ones they've won, they've had about low 40% in possession, so 42, 44, something like that against Chelsea and Leicester. So everybody's saying you're going back to the Man United way. But actually, they're not really. And I think now Ole's figured out the identity of this team. They're probably at their best when they can counter teams. When they've had a ton of possession, where they've dominated possession, like against Wolves and Southampton, they haven't really broke those teams down. Maybe because, like they were saying there in commentary, maybe it lacks a special player, a number 10, or maybe a Jadon Sancho type, But I think it's a work in progress. I think they've got rid of a lot of players, the older ones, the Lukakus and the Sanchez, and now they're going to figure out what they're going to get from these young players. I think if they can finish 4th, that would be a very good season. But they're still, obviously, a long way behind Manchester City and Liverpool.
I think they've almost come to terms now, personally, that we're not going to go down that route of buying players that are 28 or 26 or something like that for huge money if they're, foreign players, let's say. I think they've actually done that to death now. There's too many players that have cost them absolute fortunes and they've just discarded within a year or 2 of them. Yeah. So I think almost they're prepared as a club to take a couple of step back now and just think, right, we're going to give a few of these young kids a chance. We're going to look at their transfer policy over the summer, 3 youngish English players or Welsh player. So I just think that they've had enough, really, of that old setup that they had, just buying, great players all the time and thinking they're going to fit in.
So the philosophy is youth, right?
I think so, yeah.
But what about in terms of the playing philosophy? Like, what do you look at and you think, right, I can see exactly what Ole has put into this team over the last 6 or 7 months?
Well, that's the thing that I don't know where it's going at the moment. I think there is a change from up top, thinking, right, we can't just keep throwing money after money after money at this squad. But actually, the way they play, I think we're still to see an identity. I don't, you think 20 years ago, Man United had an identity, didn't they? Tough in the middle of the park, lightning fast out wide, and always a sort of a number 10 off a top striker. They've always been like that, and that's just what you... But the last sort of 10 years, let's say, I don't really know. Are they a counter-attacking team? Sometimes. Are they a possession team? Sometimes, but not really. And I think they've not got a sort of... what's the word I'm looking for? An identity at the moment. Yeah. But I think they're searching for that. I'm sure Ollie's got an idea in his head, but I think the actual buying process and things, I think they're pretty set on the ways now.
I think they're building towards that identity. I think they've started the process.
What identity?
Well, first of all, young and British is what they want to work.
In terms of footballing sense.
Yeah, but Jake, it takes time. You don't with these young players, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get. So, can you out football Liverpool, Manchester City? No. Can you? Their 2 wins in the Premier League have been counter-attacking wins against Chelsea and Leicester. That's fine. If you could, ultimately, you've got to find a way to win games. I think the next phase is you've got to get players that are going to make the difference. I think a Declan Rice makes a difference in this team at the base of the midfield. I think Jadon Sancho. It would be a perfect player for this team, and they need a number 9. Whoever that might be. But it's a work in progress. It's going to take time. But at some point, they're going to have to invest, because you've seen even City and Liverpool, they bought players.
But we've just said
made
that's
a big
not
difference.
Now the philosophy.
No, but you eventually have to buy. Declan Rice, he fits in here. Whatever he costs, 50 or 60, whatever it is, he fits in there, and he fits in the model of young and British. Jadon Sancho is nailed on for this team. Even if you pay 120 million for him, he's there for a decade. You can't almost overspend on Jadon Sancho. What I'm saying is, when you buy players that are going to play, 40 on, 50 million on Fred, you said he's 4th option. They can't afford those misses anymore.
Yeah. You almost feel like if to be a director of football, you want a director of football in there and then a really clear message to the United fans, right, this is now the plan, rather than just kind of fans trying to work out what's going on. I put a message out on social media to say, look, we're going to talk about United, what do you think? Ian said, huge mistake not signing a new centre forward to replace Lukaku, as decent as Rashford is. I prefer him out wide. It'll take 3 or 4 years of rebuilding to have any chance of us challenging for the league. These are United fans. Shortman says, simply we're in transition. It will be really frustrating at times. I think we may actually be busy in January for once. Rob, the younger lads have played exceptionally well. Our defence has been improved. Team chemistry is missing. And Adam, our best moments have been when teams attack us. We can't break a team down. United fans are basically saying we need to be patient. This is transition.
I think it's a decent attitude. A lot of those words are ringing true. And let's just take one position. One of the chaps there said centre forward. So you go Lukaku or you go a Rashford and a Greenwood, let's say. So if Manchester United don't sell Lukaku, then what? He plays in the team. Is he good enough?
Yeah.
Is Lukaku good enough is he one of the top few strikers in the country, in the world? I don't think so. Yeah. So is it worth just saying, no, we're not going to have that and we're going to give someone a chance that's going to flourish and that has the potential to be one?